Yes. So reading from the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Janma karma cha me divyam.
Janma karma cha me divyam.
Evam yo vetti tattvata.
Evam yo vetti tattvata.
Tyaktva deham punarjanma.
Tyaktva deham punarjanma.
Neti mameti so Arjuna.
Naiti mameti so Arjuna.
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting the present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning again to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning again to this material world. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Lord has many forms and incarnations. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, as stated in the Vedas. Eko Devo Nitya Lilanurakto Bhakta Vyapi Hridya Antaratma. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many transcendental forms in relationships with his unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculations, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can, without a doubt, attain liberation. The Vedic version, Tattvam Asi, is applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, "You are the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead," is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tam eva viditva mrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no alternative because anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance. Consequently, he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empirical philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and this way attain perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, today is one day before the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. Tomorrow we are celebrating the appearance of Gaurang Mahaprabhu, Gaura Purnima. So, I thought this verse is the most appropriate. Srila Prabhupada describes in one of his conversations that the great personalities, all their actions are instructive. By following simply their actions, one can achieve perfection. And yet, more than the activities of the great personalities, we should see their teachings because that is their main activity. No, none of the great acharyas or even the incarnations of God, they do not really advertise themselves. One of the acharyas, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Avatara nahi kahe ami avatar, muni sabhi jani करे है विचार. So, करे lakshana vichar. So, the great incarnations of God or the great saintly souls, they do not advertise themselves. They do not talk about their own greatness. But by simply looking at their actions and by the evidences of the scriptures, one can understand that this is a great personality. So, Krishna is saying in this verse, Janma karma chame divyam. My appearance and activities are transcendental. By knowing these activities, one can become liberated. Janma karma chame divyam. Evam yo veti tattvata. Veti tattvata. One who actually understands it. In India, everyone knows who is Krishna. But not that anyone is liberated. So veti tattvata. One has to understand it. One has to realize this truth. Tyaktva deham punar janma neti. He does not take birth again. Tyaktva deham punar janma neti. Mam eti swarjuna. He comes to me. He attains a transcendental nature. Everyone is suffering in this material world. And suffering is birth, old age, disease and death. And everyone is trying to solve these problems. But Krishna is giving the solution here. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvata. Just try to understand my activities and you will be liberated. Just have to understand the activities of Krishna. So how is that understood? Prabhupada writes here that it is not so simply understood. Activities of Krishna are transcendental. They are not so easily understood. So there is a process. This process of understanding the Supreme Lord was taught by Lord Chaitanya. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, Vyasadeva predicts, says, Krishna Varnam Pisha Krishnam Sangupangastra Parshadam Yajna Sankirtana Praye Nijantihi Sumedasha. So, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam, that the Lord will appear again in the age of Kali. But his appearance will not be Krishna. Tvisha Akrishnam. His appearance will be Akrishna. He will not be dark in color. He will be golden in color. Yajanti hi Sumedasha. Those who are intelligent will follow him. So, what will be his process? He will teach the process of Sankirtan. Krishna Varnam, Tvisha Krishnam, Sang Upang Astra Parshadam. He will appear with his associates, his weapons, his friends, his relatives. Sang Upang Astra Parshadam. Yajna Sankirtana Prayer. He will be teaching the process of Yajna. Yajna Sankirtana. His Yajna would be Sankirtan. Yajanti hi Sumedasha. Only those who are very intelligent will follow. Sumedasha. Those who are very intelligent. Only they will be able to follow. So that incarnation matches up with the prediction of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya appeared in the year 1486 AD in the eastern part of India known as Navadvip. He inaugurated the process of Sankirtan Yajna, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So taking the Upanishadic prediction, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyev, Nastyev, Nastyev Gatir Anyatha. Taking this as the basis, Lord Chaitanya inaugurated the process of Sankirtan. So actually, if one wants to be liberated from the material energy, it is practically impossible. Bhagavatam explains that material allurement is extremely strong. Every living entity, from Brahma down to the lowest creatures, are captivated by Kanaka Kamini and Pratishtha, gold, wealth, and, and sex life. This captivates every living entity. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva are not free from these captivations. So getting out of this material nature is practically impossible. So the Lord gives a very simple solution in Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharmana parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. In the Vedas, actually, this process is described. Vedic processes, Vedas describe this process very simply. That you leave your home and everything, go to a solitary place, sit in a lotus position, meditate on the Paramatma, give up all attachments, yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dhyan, dharana, samadhi. This process is given. The great sages that we read about, the great sages of the yoga, they have followed this process. Vishwamitra or Durvasa, all these sages have followed this process. Jaimini, Kanad, Charvak, they have all followed this process. But this is not possible for ordinary men. And not even in the age of Kali. No one can give up a thought for even for a moment. Therefore, this is dharma, dharma, executing your duties and then giving up everything at a suitable age. Going into the forest, renouncing everything and meditating on Paramatma. This is the process of dharma. But because it is very difficult, Krishna explains to Arjuna, he says, Sarva dharmana parityajya mama ekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender unto me. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami ma shucha. I will deliver you from all your sinful reactions. You do not fear. Ma shucha. Do not lament, do not fear. So he's saying that. But that is also very difficult. In this age of Kali, it's difficult to even surrender. We don't even know who is the Lord. And we don't know how to surrender. So, to explain this whole process of surrender, Krishna incarnated as Lord Chaitanya. So he appeared and then he taught. So Srila Prabhupada explains that a teacher will teach, will write on the board, he'll say A, B, C, and the student is supposed to copy that. But somehow, suppose the student is weak and is not able to do it, then the teacher will take the student's hand and show by himself, this is how you write, A, B, C. So Lord Chaitanya, so Krishna said, Sarva dharmana parityajya, abandon all varieties of religions. And before that, Krishna also said, Man manabhav man bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Always think of me, become my devotee, or offer your obeisances to me and worship me. In that way, you will come to me because you are very dear to me. Man manabhav man bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame eshyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. I am promising you because you are very dear to me. So Krishna has explained this. Always think of me and surrender to me. But after Krishna left, nobody could do that. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya incarnated 500 years ago to inaugurate the same process, and this time by his own example. He appeared as his own devotee. So Lord Chaitanya never accepted himself as Krishna. But only the great sages accepted. Yes, Advaita Acharya said, oh yes, he is the Lord. Because he fulfills all the predictions. Yajna Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hi Sumedasha. So no one else inaugurated Sankirtan, only Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu is accepted as an incarnation of Krishna. In fact, if you see that photograph behind you, that's Lord Chaitanya in his 6-arm feature, Shadbhuj feature. So there, this form he showed to his devotee. So 2 arms of Mahaprabhu himself, golden arms, 2 blue arms of Krishna and 2 green arms of Lord Ram. And this is the process he inaugurated, the Sankirtan Yajna, that big portrait you see at the center of the wall. So that is Lord Chaitanya. So he inaugurated this process. And he showed with his own example, continuously chanting the holy names of the Lord. So when Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India, he met a Brahmin, a South Indian Brahmin, in a place known as Kurma Kshetra. There, this Brahmin wanted to leave the world and come with him. He told the Lord, he said, I do not want to suffer in this material world anymore. Please take me with you. I will take sannyas and I will come with you. So Mahaprabhu stopped him. Because Mahaprabhu is an ideal teacher. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is explaining the process of bhakti. And it should be for everyone, not just an exclusive class of people. So Mahaprabhu gave a very important instruction there. He said, when the South Indian said that he wanted to leave everything and take come with him to take sannyas, Mahaprabhu stopped him. Aiche baat kabhu na kahiba, grahe rahi Krishna naam nirantar laiba. Do not speak like this again of leaving home. You stay at home and chant the holy names of Krishna continuously. Grahe rahi Krishna naam nirantar laiba. जारे देखा तारे कहा कृष्ण उपदेश आवारा आज्ञा है गुरु तारा ही देश. Whoever you meet, in this way, you chant the holy names of Krishna continuously, staying at home. And whoever you meet, you preach the message of Krishna. Jare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh, amara agya hai guru tara hai desh. Become a guru on my instruction and preach the message of Krishna to everyone. Kabhu na badive tomara vishaya taran, punarapi eight hani pave mora sanga. In this way, this material nature will never obstruct you. This material disturbances will never distract you. And very soon you will see me again. Or rather, we shall never pass. So wherever the chanting of Krishna's name goes on continuously, Lord Chaitanya is always present. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya preached. He started his preaching in Bengal, then he took sannyas. And then he went to Vrindavan. He initiated the 6 Goswamis, his disciples. Then he traveled all over the south for 6 years. Traveled all over the south. He dispelled the notions of impersonalism and ritualism. India was a very orthodox country. People were very ritualistic, the Brahmanas. Mahaprabhu destroyed this ritualism. He wanted to initiate pure devotion to the Supreme Lord. And in this way, he completed his pastimes and went back to Bengal. So Mahaprabhu's teachings are actually, Mahaprabhu never wrote a book of his own, but his teachings are summarized in 8 instructions known as the Shiksha Ashtaka, or the 8 teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These 8 steps of Mahaprabhu's teachings are actually, you can say, they are a condensation of all the Vedic knowledge. His Shiksha Ashtaka starts from the very basic, from where a living entity is completely trapped in Maya, and it ends at the highest principle of pure loving service to Krishna. Pure love in complete surrender to the Lord, where the devotee does not even want liberation from material nature. In this way, Lord Chaitanya, in his 8 instructions, has given the complete education of Vedic knowledge. So, our time is a bit short, so maybe we can take the first verse today. So, we'll just go briefly. If we can then question and answer, we can do. Cheto darpana marjanam, bhava maha davagni nirvapanam, shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam, vidyavadhu jivanam, anandamudi vardanam pratipadam, purnamrita swadanam, sarvatma snapanam param vijayate, Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. The essence of Lord Chaitanya's teachings is Shri Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to the most auspicious chanting of the names of congregational chanting of the names of Lord Krishna. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. If we have to say Mahaprabhu's teachings, the essence of Mahaprabhu's teachings in one line, this would be their essence. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So he starts, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Our consciousness is like a mirror. It will reflect whatever is present in front of it. If we look into a clean mirror, we can see our own face. We can see who we are. If the consciousness is pure, we can see our Swarupa. We can see who we really are. But if this mirror is covered over with dust, then we can only see either a faint reflection or we cannot see anything at all. So in the materialistic conception of life, the consciousness of the living entity is covered with Maya, with the dirt of Maya. So many misconceptions. I am this body. I am so and so. I am this. I am Indian. I am American. All these are misconceptions. And covered with these misconceptions, we cannot see who we really are. And when we cannot see who we really are, then we don't know what we are supposed to do. And then we suffer. For example, an animal becomes sick. So the animal is sick. Someone takes it to a doctor, the doctor gives some medicine. The animal doesn't understand why it is falling sick. It just falls sick. And is cured, it becomes happy. A human being also enjoys in the material nature and suffers. But he doesn't think. Okay, whatever, this is the law of nature. But he doesn't think that he doesn't have to suffer. So this is animal consciousness. Therefore, we need to clear this mirror of consciousness. Cheto darpa marjanam. Bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. So the holy name, first of all, it clears the mirror of our consciousness. So in the preliminary stages of chanting, the consciousness is cleared. We should not artificially think that we are going to see Krishna, we are going to be dancing with gopis. No, that is sahajayasm, nonsense. In the beginning stages of chanting, our consciousness will be cleared. Then Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Everyone in this material world is suffering. Birth, old age, disease and death, and so many disturbances caused by other living entities, by our own mind and body, by the demigods, by the nature. All these disturbances are constantly harassing us. And yet we are thinking we are happy. This is Bhav Mahadava. This is like a blazing forest fire. No one can put out a forest fire. You can't have a fire department for forest fire. Forest fire comes on its own. We can just maybe tame it, but then it goes away on its own. So Bhav Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, the holy name of Krishna, extinguishes this terrible forest fire of material nature. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. It distributes the white lotus of beautiful moon rays. So sunshine is very nice, but it is also harsh. One cannot sit in the sun for too long. But moonlight is very pleasant. It is also bright, it is also illuminating, but it is very gentle. So the holy name is gentle like the moon rays. It is like the moonlight, it is very gentle. The holy name of Krishna. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. So it is the very life of knowledge. Sarva Mantra Saranam E Shastra Marma. The holy name is the essence of all the scriptures. We have so many scriptures, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutra, the Puranas, all these scriptures. But the holy name is the essence. Sarva Mantra Saranam E Shastra Marma. So it's the very life of all education. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So Ananda Am Buddhi Vardhanam. So ocean, it is a constantly increasing ocean of bliss. The living entity in ignorance is always suffering. There is no happiness in this world. But when one takes the shelter of the holy name, one understands his own spiritual position. And in that way, he becomes happy. And this ocean of happiness, this ocean of bliss, is constantly increasing. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Pratipadam. At every step, it is increasing. Purnamrit Aswadanam. And one tastes the holy nectar of immortality. In this life, what is our happiness? Family, wealth, education, position, power. But everything comes with an expiry date. Everything is finished. So the happiness is not unlimited. It is full of anxiety. I love my parents, but they will die. I love my wife, but I will die or she will die. So this is all expiring. My education will be useless one day. My power will be finished. Everything will be finished. So this is not really happiness. This is a momentary relief from material misery. But Purnamrita Swaganam. But holy name is immortal. It places us in a spiritual situation where we are in a position of immortality. So this is immortal happiness. Sarvatma Snapanam. It cleanses the soul completely of all contaminations. Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So this is the glory of the holy name of the Lord. So this instruction, the very first stanza of the Shiksha Ashtakam, this is what we call the sadhana stage of bhakti, the very preliminary stage of bhakti, where a living entity comes from gross materialism to the platform of devotion. In the second stanza, Mahaprabhu is glorifying the holy name of the Lord. Nam Nam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamitaha Smarane Nakala Etadrishi Tav Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdeva Idrisham Ihajani Anuraga. This is a very interesting stanza. Nam Nam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis. Actually, in the first stanza, Mahaprabhu has described the glory of the holy name. What the holy name does to the living entity. When the living entity starts chanting the name of Krishna, what happens to him? That Mahaprabhu has described. In the second stanza, Mahaprabhu is glorifying the holy name itself. And why it's not working for us. Namnam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarvashaktis. Namnam Akari. There are infinite names of the Lord, and there are infinitely manifested names of the Lord. Bahudha Nija Sarvashaktis, and they all have all the potencies. Whether you chant the name of Krishna, Ram, Hari, Narayan, Narasimha, Vaman, whatever name you chant, they have all the potencies of the Supreme Lord. Tatrarpita niyamitaha smarane nakala. To chant these holy names, there is no rule and regulation, and there is no time also. If you are chanting the Vedic mantras, for example, there must be a specific time in which this mantra must be recited. Otherwise, either the mantra will not work or the mantra will have a contrary effect. But the holy names of the Lord are so magnificent, they are so merciful, that even if you chant these rules without following any rules, without any time, even if you mispronounce these names, even if you chant these names without intending to chant the name, they still work. There's a story in Bhavishya Purana that a Yavan was passing stool in the jungle when he was attacked by a wild boar. And boar, boar is considered unclean. So this Yavan shouted Haram. But because he chanted the name of Ram, he was liberated. So this is the strength of the holy names. Bahudha Nija Sarvashaktis. Tatrarpita Niyamitaha Smaranena Kala. No rule, no regulation. A Yaman who's a meat eater, he's passing stool in a jungle. So he's unclean. His consciousness is unclean and he's being killed by a wild boar. So what is his consciousness? Still, and he's chanting the name, he's not even chanting the name of Ram. He's just saying Haram, which means, unbonafide, what you can say, unclean. He's saying Haram. But even then, the name is able to deliver him. So that is the power of the name of Krishna. Namnam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarvashaktis Tatrarpita Niyamitaha Smaranena Kala. Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagwan Mamapi. This is your mercy, my dear Lord. This is your great mercy, that you have invested all your potency in your holy name. Durdaiva Idrasham Yahajani Nam Raga. And this is my misfortune that I still don't have any attraction to your holy name. I am still attached to this illusory happiness of this world. I still think of my family, my wealth, my education, and I don't think of you. So this is my misfortune. So that there is no skepticism. No one can say that Lord has made this process so difficult. No, the process is actually very simple. The Lord has not even put any rules or regulations. But it is our misfortune that we are still not attracted to the holy names. So if anyone chants with full sincerity and dedication, the holy name will still work. So, then na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadish kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavta bhakti rahetu kitai. I do not want wealth, women, followers. I don't even want the knowledge of the Vedas. I just want to be your servant life after life. This is the mood in which the holy name is chanted. Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So this is the humility. Trinadapi sunichena. So you take these two verses together. Try to understand these two stanzas together. This is the mood of devotion. Trinadapi sunichena. As humble as a straw on the street. Taroriva sahishnuna. As tolerant as a tree. Amanina manadena. Giving honor to those who do not honor us. Kirtaniya Sadahari. In this mood, one can always think of the Lord. But what does it really mean? What is the real purport of this? What it really means is that one should be completely detached from this body and this consciousness. If I am not this body, how does it matter whether someone loves this body or someone does not? If I am not this body, what does it matter if this is honored or dishonored? Our position is to serve the Supreme Lord. Jivera Saruphoy Krishnera Nityadas. So that is our position. So honor, dishonor, happiness, distress, they all mean nothing. So in this mood, one can always chant the names of the Lord. Kirtaniya Sadahari. Only in this mood, one can always think of Krishna. If one is too much attached to one's own reputation, one's education, one's family, wealth, or other things, or the way one receives honor in this world, then one cannot think of the Lord. Because one is still attached to the matter. And one should not desire anything. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari. I do not want any wealth or women or followers or even or so much knowledge of the Vedas, flowery language of the Vedas, kavitam, flowery language of the Vedas describing various materialistic words. Mama janmani janmani share bhavatad bhaktir ahetukai. Birth after birth, I just want to be a selfless devotee of yours. So this is the first four stanzas. In this way, Lord Chaitanya is describing the process of chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So we can see that Lord Chaitanya was the most perfect professor of this science of devotion to Lord Krishna. So anyone who follows Krishna, Lord Chaitanya's footsteps is a very intelligent man. As Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Jai Krishna Bhaje Sei Bada Chatur. One who is worshipping Krishna is very intelligent. So by following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, one can attain all perfection of this life. Therefore, actually, in the Gaudiya tradition, there is even an understanding that one may attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna after many, many years of austerities and purification. And even then, it may not be possible. But if one wants the perfection of attaining the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, one should worship Lord Chaitanya. Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. So simply by worshipping Lord Chaitanya, one can attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, as we see in that photograph. So Radha and Krishna are one and the same, combined together in the form of Lord Chaitanya. So we're running out of time. We stop here. We have 10 minutes for questions and answers. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, any questions, comments, please? Yes.
Just a comment, when you mentioned about this, we might chant the holy name of the Lord without the meaning we actually to chant the holy name of the Lord. There's a famous story of Atsamila also.
Yeah.
And, I'm referring that Christian people in Finland, they are very, very fortunate because Bible in Finnish, there is a holy name of the Lord from our perspective.
Yes, Ramattu. I was just seeing that today. Actually. Yeah, I was coming by train. So there's this building in Pukinmati, Ramattu Puhu. Yeah, so speak of Ram. So yes, that's a great fortune actually. That even not knowing anything about Lord Ram, you still worship, chant the names of Ram. Ramattu, Ramattu. Ram is already there. But we should not do that. I mean, we know about Krishna, we should chant his name consciously. Janma karma chame divyam. Coming back to our original verse, Janma karma chame divyam. Now we know. Now we should consciously worship Krishna. That's a nice comment. Yes.
How to worship Sri Chaitanya?
How to worship Sri Chaitanya? Okay, that's a very nice question. How do you honor a professor? By taking his education, by following his teachings. Mahaprabhu never accepted himself as Krishna. Mahaprabhu never said that I am Krishna. Avatara nahi kahe ami avatar. So Mahaprabhu never accepted worship from anyone. We worship him out of etiquette, out of our devotion, out of love for him. But real worship of Mahaprabhu is Amara Agya Hai Guru Tara Hai Desh. Go and preach my message. Our mission is chanting and preaching. So we do Sankirtan and preaching. We chant the names and we preach the message of Krishna. In that way we worship Lord Chaitanya. That is the way to really honor. Like I may have a photograph of Einstein in my home and I may offer it some bhoga, I may offer it garlands and everything, but if I don't study his theory of relativity, what is the use of that? I may worship Krishna, I may worship. It's like this, I love you, but I don't want to follow whatever you're saying. I love you, but I'll do nothing of what you say. So what kind of a love is that? So if we love Lord Chaitanya, we should follow his instructions. Even if we don't worship him, even if we don't love him, if we simply follow his instructions, our life will be perfected and then you will love him. So that's the way to worship Lord Chaitanya.
Prabhu, I have a question. Prabhu, why in Bhagavad Gita Krishna himself says like I am the God, Supreme Personality of Godhead, but why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refuses that I am the God? Was there any reason?
Yes, that's a very good question. So Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, I am manifested, like the whole material universe is manifested by just a fragment of me. Because that's the question there. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna doesn't talk about himself. He explains the whole process of yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, the whole Sankhya. He explains the whole process. The process that is up to the stage of Brahma Bhuta, bringing you to the stage of Brahma Bhuta. After Brahma Bhuta, the 7th chapter is where Krishna starts, knowledge of the Absolute. So he's explaining the Absolute truth there. And because he himself is the Absolute truth, so he becomes a part of it. But Krishna is not proclaiming himself as God there. He's explaining himself as a part of that Absolute truth, as the origin of that Absolute truth. That is like the absolute minimum he's talking about himself there. So therefore he has to listen, because he has to give the summarization of all the Vedic knowledge in one place. Therefore he talks about himself. But subsequently also, then he doesn't talk about himself anymore. Verses chapter 13 to 18, then Krishna again talks about the modes of nature and how the living entity is entangled and how he can come out of it. So absolutely bare minimum. In the 9th chapter, he's talking about himself. So he has to talk about the absolute truth, so he talks about himself. Mahaprabhu, on the other hand, he's come as a devotee. He has come here to relish devotional service himself. Krishnadas Kaviraj, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining in Chaitanya Charitamrita that he comes to experience the love that Radharani feels for Krishna, the pleasure she derives from that love, so he takes that form. Therefore, he does not even think of himself as Krishna. So the pleasure she derives from that love and the happiness she experiences. 3 reasons why Lord Chaitanya appears. So he has appeared only as a devotee. And because he has appeared in that mood of a devotee, he is also able to give that mood to anyone who follows in his footsteps. Anyone who follows the instructions of Mahaprabhu will also relish the love of Krishna. So does that clear? Yeah. But then Krishna doesn't again talk about himself as God. Like only at that point of Bhagavad Gita. And then again, neither before nor after. Yes.
Is it a good way to honor Lord Chaitanya by dancing?
By chanting the holy names.
And dancing?
Yeah, but chanting is more important.
And dancing?
Dancing you can do, but it should be in the way it is prescribed. The Swami style. No wild dancing. Chanting is more important. If there is no chanting, dancing has no meaning. Monkeys also dance. So many hippies out there are dancing, so many nightclubs in Helsinki. No one is attaining any ecstasy of holy name. No. Chanting of the holy name. And then when that chanting infuses us with enthusiasm and then we dance, that dancing will purify us. If we are simply dancing to, exercise our body, that will not.
But dancing during the kirtan?
Yes, but kirtan is more important. The kirtan should induce the mood of dancing, not that there is drum beating and I am dancing to it. That will not help. This is a subtle, this is a subtle aspect of bhakti.
And dancing and chanting?
Yes, but dancing alone is not going to help. If that is the question, chanting will help. Dancing doesn't help really. Mahaprabhu did not dance, did not tell anyone to dance. He was dancing because he was in the ecstasy of the holy name. Otherwise, so many people were dancing at that time also. All the Bharatanatyam dancers in India would be in ecstasy by now. They are not getting anything. It is the holy name which is purifying you. Yes.
Prabhu, I have been in India last month, and I have questions because we are talking about this holy name.
Yeah.
So in Vrindavan, they always, I notice every people say Radhe Radhe. They don't chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And I know some of the part of India, they also chant like Lord Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya, and there is so other like names. So what about that?
Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tatheva bhajamyaham. To the degree one surrenders, I reciprocate. Krishna is saying in the Gita. See, you have to follow the instructions of your spiritual master. Once you have come to the stage where you are desiring to become liberated, then you must follow the instruction of the spiritual master. So, if one has taken birth in Vrindavan and has a spiritual master who instructs him to chant the name of Radha, he can do that. But we come in the Gaudiya Parampara, where we are instructed, we come in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is instructing us to chant the names of Krishna. Therefore, we chant Hare Krishna. Therefore, we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Therefore, we chant this. As regards the name of Shiva, yes, so Lord Shiva's name does not give liberation. Let me put it very clearly. Lord Shiva's name can give you material wealth, material wisdom, but not liberation. Lord Shiva is a very special personality. He's a devata, a demigod, and also an acharya, a guru. So those who worship him for material wealth, he gives material wealth. But those who worship him for liberation, he instructs them as an acharya. He has his own sampradaya called the Rudra Sampradaya, where he gives the name of Lord Narayan. So even Lord Shiva will instruct you to chant the names of Narayan. So that is the process. So you shouldn't chant Om Namah Shivaya, you should chant Namo Narayana, because that's what Lord Shiva will instruct you to do. Because Lord Shiva is not happy to give you material wealth or beautiful wife or money or anything. He gives it because he can do that. But he's not happy to do it. He'll be more than happy to give you the holy name. In fact, there's a whole scripture called Brihad Bhagavatamrit, where there's a story where Lord Shiva's wife, Durga, becomes pleased with a Brahmana and she instructs him to take the shelter of Lord Narayan, Kamakhya Devi. So, today is not the time, but we could have discussed that story one day. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, sir, So regardless the name of Lord Vishnu and Narayana, Lord Krishna, Chaitanya, so these four, 5 names, even Lord Rama. So whatever the name we chant, so we'll get the liberation.
If you chant the names of Lord Narayan, yes.
Even Lord Rama.
Yes, all Vishnu Murtis.
All Vishnu Murtis.
Yeah. But you should follow, so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is also explaining that this mantra should be following a process. One cannot imagine this mantra. If you're just chanting, if I say Ram, 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 it's nice. It's holy name. It is giving me freedom from sins. But it can give me liberation. But if I chant the names given by the Acharya, by the spiritual master, that has the potency of delivering me back to the spiritual world itself. Hare Krishna. So we stop here today. Time is up. If anyone has any questions, you can meet me in the restaurant or in the corridor. Okay. Thank you very much.